In the midst of elections, a top panel at the centre has come up with a working paper that has said that the share of the Hindu population decreased by 7.82% between 1950 and 2015 in India, while that of Muslims increased by 43.15%, suggesting that there is a conducive environment in the country to foster diversity. Now, this is a working paper by the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, and it says that the share of minorities as a composite group has increased significantly. In particular, India has witnessed an increase in the shares of Muslim, Christian, Buddhist and Sikh populations and a decline in the shares of Jain and Parsi populations. We'll take you through all the main data points of this paper authored by economist Shamika Ravi, who is also a member of the PM's Economic Advisory Council, and others in the course of the next 60 minutes, but in the next 30 minutes. But the reason we are discussing this tonight is also because these findings have ignited a political battle between the BJP and the opposition. Now, BJP's Amit Malviya has said that referring to the alleged decline in the Hindu population, left to them, there would be no country for Hindus, while MIM's Mr. Owaisi has called it a WhatsApp university material. Now, differential fertility between Hindus and Muslims has always fueled political narratives. Now, how can one dispassionately look at findings like this, especially when we are in the middle of an election and also at a time when latest NFHS data has shown a decline in fertility rates across communities, with Muslims registering a prominent and highest decline in TFR? That's what we asked tonight. But joining me now is Dr. Shamika Ravi, the author of the said working paper and also member of the PM's Economic Advisory Council. Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for speaking to NDTV. Your main argument in this paper is that India has welcomed diversity, allowing minority groups to thrive. Now, this has not been the case in India's immediate neighborhood. In the time frame that you have selected, while the population of Hindus has grown 3 times, that of Muslims has grown by 5 times. Now, is India the only outlier where the share of majority population has declined? What about the other countries, since you have also studied 160 countries across the world, and also tell us what made you attempt this paper?
So the reason we did this is, first of all, I must be honest, there is this novel data set that came to my attention that actually looks at demographic across religious lines, changes over long time period. Though 65 years doesn't seem that long if you consider, countries, but 167 countries, we are able to just look at what is happening to share of minority. Now, there are many things that go into the final outcome of whether the share is growing or declining. We are abstracting away from that. We are just saying that, if the environment is conducive and policies are supportive, then you are going to see growth in minority population in countries. And we do in fact find that India is an anomaly in the neighborhood, because it is following the trends of Western liberal democracies. Plural democracies, where you are seeing substantial increase in proportion of minority population or a decline in the majority population. Now, if you look at just the neighborhood, then the only other country where you see a majority decline or a minority increase is Myanmar, where you have seen the Buddhist population and a particular Theravada Buddhism fall by 10%. But all other countries in the neighborhood, whether you look at Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Bhutan, so not necessarily just Muslim countries, but across the neighborhood, these are countries where the size of the minority in terms of the share have fallen alarmingly. And I think that makes India's experience of the last 65 years even more remarkable.
That's interesting, Dr. Ravi. So, what explains the differential rates of growth within the country? Fertility rates in Tamil Nadu or Kerala are quite different from the same in, say, states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh.
Well, the share in the population, Vasudha, is not just fertility. Of course, we have differential fertility. One is across religious lines, and we are seeing convergence, etc. But it will also vary across states and regions. So first of all, we will have to look at much more granular sort of evidence on what is happening in terms of changes. But I think more importantly, it's not fertility alone. There are many other factors that lead to this final outcome of a share of minority growing. It could be migration, as you are seeing in the case of Europe. countries of Europe have seen a very significant, dramatic decline in share of majority religion. Places like France and all have seen almost close to 30% decline in majority over the last 65 years. So migration is a predominant factor there. Then, of course, conversion. You're also seeing significant conversions happen across different parts of the world and including in India. And, if you look at Africa, for instance, and the reason I say conversion is because in Africa, Vasudha, in the beginning, the baseline year of 1950, there were 24 countries which had animism, right? These are indigenous religions. These are not monotheistic religions. 24 countries had animism as the main or the majority religion. And in 65 years, today, none of those 24 countries have animism as a majority or a main religion. So, there is conversion. There is, of course, conversion as a factor too. So it's a combination of fertility differences, migration, and conversion.
Dr. Ravi, we've also noticed a decline in fertility rates across the country and across all religious groups in the last 20 years. Now, the rate of decline is even faster in those states which were lagging behind earlier. So what is it that you would say is working now?
I wouldn't just say working, Vasudha. I mean, these are empirical questions. This might very well be extremely troubling too, but these are empirical questions. We will have to now look at what exactly is the region and religion and etc. So we have to see declining urban-rural differences are there. So there are many urban pockets where fertility rates are significantly lower than our national level, which is just a little below replacement rate. It's around 2.01, I think, was the last projection. So we are below fertility, the replacement rate, which is, I think, expected. But the rate at which it's declining further, I think we need to now study it much more, across regions, religions, etc. Because eventually we are also thinking, demography is a very important, people build nations. So I think we will have to study this problem of crashing fertility very closely.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi, for speaking to NDTV. That was Dr. Shamika Ravi, economist, who has also co-authored the paper titled Share of Religious Minorities, findings of which we are discussing now. To get the political perspective, joining us now is Rajiv Chandrasekhar, MOS, IT and Skill Development. Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar, for speaking to NDTV. So we've seen this report by the PM's Advisory Council on the Hindu population declining by at least 7% from 1950 to 2015. You have tweeted, you have posted on X about matters such as illegal immigration and also conversion. How big are these concerns?
No, I think it's not a question of whether it's big or small. I think certainly the report reveals that there have been some pretty significant changes to our demography and makeup of our population in the last few years, few decades. And some questions do arise because the rate of growth of one particular community is obviously higher than many of the other communities, and therefore some questions do arise from it. I put this out for people to think about and talk about. First question, of course, is how has this happened? What is the cause for one community to grow much faster than any other minority community or indeed the majority community? Is there any connection to illegal immigration? Is there any connection or correlation to conversion? So this is something that I think we should all think about and examine, and have maybe some people in the government examine this. The second question that arises from this is, when one minority community grows so much faster than other minority communities, is there a risk that the other minority communities like Parsis and Jains and Buddhists and Sikhs and Christians are crowded out from the benefits and the schemes that are designed for minorities, from education, from jobs to opportunities? So therefore, there is a legitimate question that needs to be asked. What is the status of the other minority communities which are not growing so fast? Are they being deprived, or do they still have access to these to the protection under the Constitution? And the third is the most very important in the context of this debate on reservations, is that when one minority community, the Muslims, are growing so fast, and a political party like the Congress is talking about going against the constitution and giving that same community more reservations, which is totally against the constitution, what then happens to the other communities in India which have been deprived for so many decades, the OBCs, the SCs, the ST community, brothers and sisters, what happens to them if on one hand you have the Muslim community grow so fast and they are being promised reservations? So what happens to the opportunities? What happens to the growth and development of these, the OBC, SC and ST brothers and sisters is again, I think, a legitimate question that this report will is causing people to talk about and think about. So there are these questions, I think, as we look to the future of India, as we look to a Vikasit Bharat, these are legitimate questions that arise from this report. And I hope the people,
Right.
through the prism of opportunistic politics, but through the prism of really planning for the future of India in a much more inclusive way where everybody has opportunities, considers these questions and looks for answers.
So you come from the state of Kerala, and there's always a lot of talk about demography when it comes to Kerala and of course Assam and Bengal. So are there any specific regions in the country where you think this issue is of a larger concern?
No, I think I'm not so sure we should make this into some narrow regional thing or something to do with an election. I think these are questions to do with when one community is growing, are we making sure that other communities are also being protected and are looked after? Second is, in our haste, in some political parties, haste for vote bank politics, and they are so eager to promise a particular vote bank more and more things, are they overlooking the legitimate rights and legitimate concern of the OBCs, SCs and STs, whom our founding fathers and the architect of our constitution, Dr. Ambedkar ji, had talked about for many years. And as you know, for many years they were denied many of their rights. So these are questions that I think we should be examining and talking as we look to the future of India and we look to the future that we are all hopefully building, which is Viksit Bharat.
So questions are also being raised about the timing of this report, because this is coming in the middle of elections, and some may also call it scaremongering. How does one assess data in the midst of this ongoing political controversy around reservations? Because BJP is saying that Congress will bring in Muslim quotas, and the Congress is claiming that BJP will alter the SC/ST reservation policy.
I particularly don't feel that when there is some truth that is put out there, data and facts that are put out there, whether it is during election, before election or after election, facts remain the facts, the truth remains the truth. And there is no way of people trying to wriggle out of an uncomfortable truth and to find a more convenient truth. These are the facts as they have been put in front of the country. This is election time, and I think everybody has a legitimate right to understand what is going on, what has gone on in the country for the last several decades. And today we are all, as every Indian is today, focused on the future of India, the Viksit Bharat. So therefore, everything that has happened in the last 10, 50 years is legitimate, that every Indian is aware of all the facts as we go into this election and for subsequent election. So I don't see this as, I see the Congress's griping about this as legitimate, their standard legitimate strategy, which is that they keep wanting to avoid talking about the future of India. They want to talk about any idea for the betterment of people, and they want to look at opportunistic vote bank politics. This may not be convenient for their vote bank politics, but certainly it's a fact and a truth that has been put out there for people of India to see, understand and think about.
Moving on to a quick focus on the Prajwal Revanna sex crimes case. Nearly 2 weeks since the first case of sexual crimes against him were filed, the JDS MP from Hassan is yet to appear before investigators. Despite an Interpol Blue Corner notice, there is still no word on where he is. But the political exchange between the Congress and the JDS in Karnataka has been intense, with H.D. Kumarasamy even going to the governor today demanding a fair probe by the SIT, if not by the CBI. While Kumarasamy had claimed that Karnataka Congress President and Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar was the one who orchestrated the releasing of pen drives with Prajwal Revanna videos. Speaking exclusively to NDTV's Pratibha Raman, Shivakumar has categorically denied his role. He further said that no one in the Congress was even aware of these allegations.
We have with us Deputy CM of Karnataka, Mr. D.K. Shivakumar. Sir, now that the elections are over in Karnataka, what are the prospects of the Congress here?
Congress will win a comfortable more than 20 seats in Karnataka. We are very happy that the entire party, the voters of Karnataka, felt that we have promised whatever we have promised, we have delivered, and better than the assembly election, I am confident this election will go through.
So one of the biggest election controversies has also been the Prajwal Revanna case, with allegations against you saying that you could have been responsible for leaking the videos.
I am not a fool, or I am not a mad. I am no way connected to it. It is their blunder, it is their hit wicket, and you know what the Chief Minister has spoken, the former Chief Minister has spoken. I am no way connected to it, and it is all their own blunder what they have made themselves. See, we do politics in a straight way. We not, but instead of speaking all these things, the BJP knew everything, he knew everything, Kumarasamy, they would have protected their own this one. They are putting onus on. In what way we are connected? In what way we are no way connected? Already Kumarasamy said that it is his, he doesn't have, he has distanced himself from his father and his brother. Now why is he speaking on this? It is all his own. He is the actor, he is the director, he is the distributor.
So are you worried about the political fallout because the JDS is targeting you?
No, naturally, because they feel I am a threat to them. They feel that they are a threat to them. They naturally target whom? They can't target people who goes on the street. More the strong, more the enemies. Less strong, less enemies. No strong, no enemies.
So was the Congress aware of these allegations, sir?
We are not aware of these allegations. We never knew about this. We never knew. Let them do whatever they make. It is the BJP and them. They are the partners. Let them do whatever they want.
Thank you so much, sir. That was Mr. D.K. Shivakumar talking about the allegations against him of leaking the videos, saying that it is definitely not the Congress that was aware of these allegations earlier. With camera person Govind, Pratibha Raman in Bengaluru for NDTV.
Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.